Good shot, if I must say so myself. You know what, though? I require a beverage. Oh, that's another thing. I should set that reminder to edit the other lives. All right. Love this goddamn shirt.
It is good. I like the green too.
Yeah. Need reminders for my reminders so that I remind myself to look at my reminders when I need to be reminded of what I want to be reminded about.
That makes complete sense. Totally understand.
Boy, I can feel how safe it would be to know what I should be talking about and how dangerous it is to open your mouth without knowing what you want or need to say. There's like a conditioned teaching. Oh, what's the scold? It's think before you speak.
Yes.
Is the like that would be the scold of like, how dare you, like, think before you speak. What? How dare you say that? Or how stupid uh, are you to say that? Think before you speak. Like, all those filters that are taught taught uh, that would make spontaneous expression unsafe, dangerous to practice. And I'm feeling into, yeah, how comfortable it is to, even to the degree of like knowing even what sentence I want to speak um, before I speak it. Like, yes, I might not know a whole essay or paragraph before I speak it, but I can see oh man, at least I need to know, like, what is the first thing I'm going to say before I say it, out of that comfort zone of opening your mouth. Uh, Opening my mouth. Um, the other thing that I feel in the challenge, in the danger of public spontaneous expression is the tension, the conflict between like, of course it's different in a async I'm not necessarily popular yet, so the audience isn't necessarily here, but the imagination of the audience that will watch this is like, oh, what do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to talk about? How can I please you by talking about what you want me to talk about? That's over here. And then the space over here, the option of like, what do I want to talk about? Is a interesting feeling because my normal way of operating or comfort zone with that is I don't necessarily need to talk about anything. There like there's no, that's not the way I'm inspired. Like, some people will get like a download uh like drop to them, and it's almost like the flashcard of like, here's the topic and here's what you're going to talk about, and then they like, okay, I'm going to talk about this right now because I just received the download uh, of like what I want to talk about. um, Now, of course, there's different contexts with that, especially when I meet the interests of who I'm in front of, whether it be one person or performing for a whole audience. Context will can inform where those two things meet. Uh, but like, off the cuff, in my own centered pushing live, the first inkling is like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't get clear, decisive, organized, focused language, topics to almost like choose from. I could look at my computer screen here and look at all these things, all these reminders, all these options, all these things. And I'm like, yeah, I could. But it's like indecisive. There's its options. It's like almost without the, well, what are you interested in? How can I please you? Dynamic in that. I almost don't know what I want, and there's that indecisiveness of all the potential ideas, possibilities, and I don't know how to rate or only feel desire to select one, to pick. The picking is hard when I don't know what they want and it's not clear what I want. When we're talking about like that first position uh, potential, that this is my channel. I could talk about whatever I want to talk about. It doesn't matter. I could talk about pro wrestling. I could talk about cinema. I could talk about passion. I could talk about evolution. I could talk. Options are plentiful. It's my channel. Uh, but the selection, the focus, especially when that people pleaser is not allowed to run the show, when I like, do you want me to talk about this? Like, hint, like, is this good? Would this be a good idea? And get like that feedback, that confirmation. It's like on my own device, I don't have that excitement just to talk.
Why?
Ooh, feedback. I like it. Uh, because the potential of everything to say is much more beautiful than squeezing one down into a limited language. The ocean of ideas is much more beautiful to observe than to constrain uh, thought into English. Whereas, like, I know other people, they could talk about things uh, ad infinitum, like forever, right? Like, especially, and I can too when I'm in that flow and respond, like when I know what the curiosity is or when I know what to respond to, it puts me right into that flow zone of da, 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 and I could talk points, and I'm there, but off the starting gate, blank slate, blank page, it is very uncomfortable that indecision of all the possibilities and the constriction, the constraint of picking one and focusing. The multidimensional no focus, all the ADHD of so many ideas. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, pro wrestling over like all these things over here. But the focalizing, the sucking down, and then the conversion to English, uh, emotion to English, uh, the translation of energy and feeling and meaning and into a linear assembly of words and performance and uh, theater and opera and cinema and art by myself is super difficult.
What is like? I already feel like when I ask you this question, you're gonna be like, it's not that. It's not that. But I'm like wondering, like, what is the operating system of that? What is all that? It almost feels like authority or like, what is that?
Good question. Well, it's creativity, it's self expression, communication. Um, well, I can kind of draw it down to
It'll be fun.
come on, I need a little comedy. Uh, I can draw it down as I get serious to the feeling maybe of other people or people close to me not being interested in the things that I was interested in as a why it's so difficult to express myself, because I think what you're asking is, given the opportunity, like, hey, what's up, Alex? uh Given the opportunity of, like, let's parallel this, because this is tantamount to a public stage, YouTube, digital camera recording history. Uh, this is tantamount to being in a public space and having a voice on something. And when when in the public eye, the the heat of the public eye in survival of the fittest is very much, and this is the I think the colors that you're asking here, is very much all, I mean, let's get hyperbolic, let's get black and white. Like, oh man, thanks, Alex. You got this. Appreciate the vibes. Um, and it's actually, Alex is totally dismantling my theory here. You gotta be a troll, Alex. What's this? My whole theory is that the whole reality is based like on shame and humiliation. Like that's what the public sphere is, black and white television wise. Like it breaks you down. It's like all there to make you feel small and inadequate and um almost like to like tear down your dreams. It feels like that's the way that the public uh negativity is operating as, like trolls and criticism. And and I'm not saying it can't be on the spectrum of people telling the truth of what they are seeing and how they feel about something, all the way to the other end of like just saying things to tear someone down. Like it is rough in the public eye to put your soul out there, especially if you're sensitive, uh, artistic, creative. Like if it's coming from a very vulnerable and transparent space, and you put that stuff out there, it's going to get destroyed from a critical, public, self conscious attack. Uh, that's what society feels like, especially on social media. And it's so funny because I'm saying this, I'm getting a reflection of the opposite with Alex joining us here, but I am feeling like the dual screen nature of like what the self-conscious thinks and sees, because social media is not really a nice place publicly. Just look at the way that they treat celebrities that they don't like, and uh, the negativity that is out there. Uh, the projections, ooh, the devaluing, the diminishing, the 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 nature of the toughest and harshest critical hatred of something or someone. That's a lot of pressure to be sensitive to. Like another way of saying that is like the feeling of, have you ever had the feeling of having an idea, sharing that idea to someone, and them shitting all over it and how that makes you feel about your own idea that you used to be excited about, it's almost like it sands, uh, falls through your hands and you forget why you were originally excited about it in the first place. It doesn't feel good to be shit on. It doesn't feel good to have something torn apart, uh, especially the closer to your heart and soul that you are willing to put out there. Um, like a lot of the great artists and creators and greats that have done it and faced that and survived that. Um, what's that Gandhi quote? First they ignore you, then they hate you, then they attack you, then oh, I'm butchering this bad.
And then they love you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I just butchered the hell out of that quote. We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it.
uh, that's the energy here. That's the public sphere. That's the um, public eye. Uh, it's a pressure cooker. It's not for the faint of heart because it's fear, negativity, hatred, malice. Uh, it's the absolute like worst of humankind on display, expressed, sent, given, thrown. Uh, that's the That's what's operating. That's like the especially in a public eye. That seems like the restrictor of something on over here on one side. Then on the other side is artist is well, if I'm going to speak in front of the public and put myself out there, well, I don't want to just deliver noise. I don't want to just deliver dull, useless stuff. Well, I want to aim for the highest bar of artistry and craft and best. I want to deliver the greatest every single time that I perform. And that's a couple that those two pressures together. That's why it's hard to pick because on one side there's like the shame and the humiliation, and on the other side there's the perfectionism that it has to be great. And that's a pressure cooker pipe of like, well, for anything to fall through from idea ocean to linear language, it has to be pretty fucking good. It has to be great. And when there's no, especially when that fear and negativity is coloring the screen of that, well, I feel like that's why ideas don't really rate because no idea is ever good enough to speak with all that uh, tension in the space, tightening the creativity. Because on one side, I am after the greatest, and on the other, it doesn't feel good to have your heart ripped to shreds by the perceived response, criticism of how wrong or bad or politically incorrect what I could say, especially when I don't know what I'm going to say. Like, that's dangerous ground because I might not even like what I say if I have no filter. And then I'm caught with, like, well, I said it, and someone's going to see that and think that I am what I said, which is totally within their bounds of, like, uh, belief and receiving, but they won't know that either that was maybe a character or that was unfiltered, came from a different place, like came for a different purpose, came for a different tone of what I intention, or and then all of a sudden you're associated with that forever in the, like, blown up projected public persona that calls me back to, like, if something happened in school, then you were that until until the next year, or like it followed you, something followed you, the that bad scent followed you from the public remembrance of, like, that shame or humiliation or uh thing, that you are that, and your nickname is that, and you're going to be that until we forget, and it never gets forgotten, and you have to carry that mask uh, of shame until you question the operating system. Let's just take a moment to land those feelings for a second.
Yeah, because I have a lot of questions for you.
I can.
But that would make you comfortable because you would be able to respond.
Yes.
So I don't want to do that because
Mm-hmm.
this is not that.
Yeah, when it's perceived that being an artist, sharing your heart and soul, vulnerability, transparency, doing your work in a black and white sense is only going to be met by either shame and humiliation. That's option one. Or perfectionism and inadequacy because it's not good enough. It's never good enough. Why express yourself? Why do it? Why speak? If those are the only options, it feels like there's no point. There is nothing to say if it only leads to those two directions. Unless you have a higher mission, a higher purpose for why you're doing what you're doing in the first place, that is invincible to, impervious to those conditions. Impervious to collective shame and humiliation from the human tribe, as big as that can get. Right there are tests in that treatment. I do feel it is a mm, like the concept of like rite of passage comes up, is like almost like to earn that status, you have to be willing to go through that fire of collective torture, if that makes sense. Um, the withstanding, the consistency, the not consistency, but like chugging through, hold, still holding to the charge, regardless of all the armory and utility that is being shot at you. Like, can you continue? Do you have the stamina to keep going? Like, as an artistic trial and tests of the passion, like, can you get through it? Almost feels like the challenge, from this side of the uh, vantage point of whatever game this is. Um, how much do you want the greatness will open up how much doubt, fear, negativity, stones, arrows will be shot at your way to challenge your aim, to challenge how badly, how passionately, how much you want it. I think there's a there's a mechanism there. There's a dynamic. There's an evolution there, of the purpose for the fear and negativity that this planet has, to almost suss out the weakness. And if you can get through it, then you're on the other side of legend and icon and change maker. Like, you're able to get through the thick of that challenge and emerge on the other side with the legacy, with the iconic status, the status, of the greatness that everything that brings, the stature, uh, like, you've earned it. There's an earning maybe to that. Um, I think I'm ready for questions.
Okay. So when you're talking about the public attacking you, the trolls, the negativity, all the comments, all the things that are being hurled at you, that's prior that's prior to even being on camera for more than 5 seconds. You're already feeling all of those things. You're already feeling that pressure.
Pressure
And I'm
and
wondering,
potential.
yeah, like, isn't that your imagination creating that? Like, your mind using your imagination against you to silence your voice from even self-expressing? And then on the other side of that is, why is someone else, whoever this other person is, why do they have more authority than you? Like, why are they able to tear? And I'm asking this because I feel like a lot of people give away that authority. Like somebody else has more power over you, somebody else's opinion, they tear it down. But why are they able to do that? How do they have that much authority to be able to tear down what you feel in your heart, what you want to create, what you want to express?
For the first question was, what was the first question?
Isn't that your mind using your imagination against you to create something that hasn't even happened yet?
Yes, using evidence, that of what occurs on social media to create that possibility of all the pain of shame and humiliation. It's really the possibility that it will lead to shame and humiliation, given the evidence of what the landscape of social media feels like, or what happens on social media, right? And yeah, you're totally accurate, right? Like it is the mind creating the scenarios that ultimately inform the uh, that one side of what is tightening up the creativity. Um, yes. The other question was, remind me.
Is why does someone other than you, this other person, have more authority? Why does their opinion have more clout or more weight than yours?
I don't know if I necessarily see that. Well, because on one hand, right, like I can speak on any topic, right? Some topics I'm more versed on than others. Uh, some topics I have more experience on than others. Some topics I don't have. Like there are many topics in the landscape of all the subjects and fields out there. Um, Now, if I'm only limited, if like we're taking the ocean and we're limiting it to, okay, I'm only allowed to talk about what I have an authority on. Is that kind of what you're indicating?
No, because I think it reaches further into just self-expression in general, of being allowed to self-express or create or vision.
Well, I mean, you're talking different uh, thing. To me, you're talking different things like vision, vision. Self-expression is a different muscle. It's a well, I mean, depending on what tool you're talking about, what tool I have. So phone, YouTube, I have my body and I have my voice and my flailing arms. That's the tool here. That's the what has been limited and choice to the self-expression in this moment, and using that as the palette uh, of creativity to use the tool to use for this context. Just like as if I was sat down in front of a canvas with a paintbrush, and a palette, then painting is my self-expression, right? Here we're talking about self-expression as voice, right? Language and voice. And so, yes, I could, with authority, say the alphabet right now and self-express with tone A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it make no sense to why I'm doing it. I'm just expressing myself through the letters of the alphabet, right? Now, would I be satisfied as an artist doing that? Me? Not necessarily, because I'm not saying anything. Uh, uh, it doesn't feel like good art to me in terms of if it's art, self expression and art, like those are kind of not exclusive. Self expression is just hey shooting the shit. There's no critique there. It's I could talk about anything. I'm not worried. Like it's as low impact, low brow, low bar. How's the weather? Small talk. Self express. That's self. That could be self expression, right? Talking about, hey, it's 60 degrees outside, and but on is that art? No, it's self expression. But now when those two meet, and we have that heat of oh high bar artistry, like we're talking craft, we're talking about clarity, precision, character, tone, story, painting words, imagery with words, sound, volume. We're talking performance at that point. Self expression and art becomes performance. It's not just the words, it's everything under and over and around the words that are the palette of options and creative choice. The canvas, I mean, infinite in a sense, but like if I get strict here, I got 3 minutes left as a constraint on this live. And if I were to honor that, the heat gets up because now I've got constraints. Now I only have 3 minutes to either get to the point, if I haven't made one, I think I have. I think there's a good title for this YouTube video, or conclude whatever the hell this chaotic, spontaneous live was into a bow and framed thing that delivers the greatness as an artist that I always want to deliver in my performances, whether that be self-expression or business or comedy or whatever arts and crafts that we're talking about. That I forgot what you asked about self-expression with my limited 2 minutes left to really hit it. Remind me what the question was.
I think what we're coming down to is it's not about self-expression when you sit down in front of the camera. It's about creating art.
Yes. It's about creating art, and that authority, where authority comes in self-expression, I don't necessarily feel that authority is a restrictor on self-expression only if we get into the area where the topic in and of itself, compared to experts in that specific field talking about the same topic, like pro wrestling, if I were to talk about pro wrestling, I don't have the experience that an expert over here talking about pro wrestling has. So I would doubt my authority, and it wouldn't feel like the best art in that case, in that comparison. I think that's what you're asking. But that's a topic to unpack in a next video. So with that, awkward, 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 socially awkward closing. What is this awkwardness as we depart this container? Promotion. It's like that's when you promote, is at the end. And that's where it folds into an accordion. So today I will not promote. But that's where it gets folded, because it's like, yeah, it's like when you leave a party, you say goodbye, you have to say goodbyes in all the different ways, but you're saying goodbye as you walk out, and bye as the door closes.